Marcia?
Yes, I hear you. There you go.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. This is Marcia Noel, assistant to the city manager and your moderator for tonight. For the record, it is June 4, 6:30 p.m. Welcome again to our weekly community teleconference call on COVID-19 and other matters that are of significance and value to you. We have various members of our Emergency Operations Center that have prepared information to share with you tonight. So as you are listening into this call, we please ask that you remember to share this call, whether you're watching this on social media or listening in on the line, to share this information with your friends and families and get others to join. Before we begin, I would like to let you know that this call is being broadcast and recorded. With that being said, we will go ahead and allow for our city manager to begin with opening remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Noel, and thank you everyone for listening in to our community conference call regarding COVID-19. I just wanted to provide some additional information. We have experienced 2 additional COVID positive tests for employees in the agency. We have provided assistance to make sure those employees are provided the testing and then also the supplemental services that are provided afterwards. We did have an opportunity to have discussions with the employees that were in that particular department and did some contact tracing and are awaiting results from other employees in those particular operations. What we have done and will continue to do is separate and augment our staffing complements depending on what the needs are to ensure that we have redundancies in the system. So if we do have a situation where a shift or a group of individuals end up contracting the virus, we do have the capabilities and the programs and the personnel built in to ensure that there is continuity of service and we don't see an issue that ends up adversely impacting the organization or the employees and the operations. So we are continuously experiencing cases in the agency. We have folks that, as some of the reopenings have occurred that you'll hear going into phase 1 that the state and the county end up moving into, we've seen some positive cases that have started to impact our community, and Chief Kurt will speak on more specificities with regards to that. On June 1st, we proceeded forward with a soft opening of City Hall, and we are accepting appointments only. The number to schedule appointments is 561-845-4000. Again, that's 561-845-4000. There is a specific window that we have for appointments. It's from 10:30 to 2:30, and individuals just need to call, schedule an appointment. There is a screening process that you have to go ahead and submit to be able to enter City Hall. And then we ask while you're in the facilities and conducting business with city staff that you wear the appropriate face coverings. That's important to ensure your safety and well-being as well as the employees. We are still keeping our employees in a modified work schedule. We have brought some of them back to work and we have alternate schedules. We've also put in place some of the precautionary tools or equipment to ensure that there's more hand sanitation stations, that there is appropriate separation between customers and employees, and making sure that we adhere to the social distancing requirements that we are putting in place. We are also securing some additional signage to make it abundantly clear what the expectation is for not only the public but the employees that are providing services in the facility. All city facilities have been inspected, and we have been providing guidance to the department directors to ensure the safety and welfare of the public is priority number 1. That also goes back to the modified schedule that we have put in place. We are still encouraging individuals, if at all possible, to continue to conduct business in a remote format, whether it's a digital meeting or a phone call versus the face-to-face meetings. We are still not at the phase where we will start entertaining face-to-face meetings unless it is absolutely necessary. With phase two, 67 counties, or 67, or 46, or 64, 64 of the 67 counties in the state of Florida are moving into the phase two reopenings on Friday. The counties that are excluded is Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County. I can anticipate that within the coming weeks, we will end up moving into phase two, because that is exactly how we went from where we were into phase one. Phase two calls for retail establishments to be able to go back to normal capacity numbers, as well as restaurants being able to increase their occupancy. And you're starting to see some of the theme parks opening up throughout the state of Florida. We anticipate that this will, of course, have an impact on the virus and how it's continuing to spread in the community. So again, we ask and urge everyone to be conscientious of your surroundings, that you're wearing the appropriate face coverings, that you're washing your hands, and that you're taking all safety precautionary steps as necessary. The Rapids Water Park did submit their plan to Palm Beach County for reopening. Their plan was approved by the county, and they have authorization to proceed forward with opening Friday, June 5th. Some of the safety protocols that they're putting in place is they're going to go to 50% capacity, which is roughly about 2,200 to 2,300 people. All staff will be wearing face masks. Social distancing is required. Additional hand sanitation stations and wellness checks for staff and guests. As it relates to the city of Riviera Beach and the recreational services that are usually provided at this time of year, we are postponing offering recreational services as it relates to summer camp or sports camps and sports-related activities. The reason being is that our facilities and the age of our facilities and the inadequacies in some of the spaces does not give us the opportunity to be able to safely provide that service. So in the abundance of caution, we are still going to wait before we entertain the possibility or feasibility of bringing some of those services online. With regards to the library services, those will still continue as they are right now, and it will be we will look to possibly start doing things on a remote status, but not opening up the library, as that facility is currently being utilized for staffing, additional staffing complement and services for the one of our departments. We have also moved forward with the economic recovery program. We presented the program to the council, and now we are looking forward to being able to roll out some economic recovery monies to assist some of our small businesses and medium-sized businesses. The CRA did roll out a program, and we are going to mirror that program. We're going to make some tweaks and modifications. We have identified a funding stream that we have set aside for the purposes of assisting in the economic recovery and building out some of the nuances of the loan program or grant program. That will be shared with the city council at their next regular meeting, and we'll ask them for insight and perspective. And we look to be able to roll that program out and introduce it to the public in its completed format by June 19th. Also, related and unrelated, the city of Riviera Beach is extending its curfew. Currently, we are under a curfew, and we will be extending that curfew all the way till Sunday, June 7th. And the curfew most likely will get extended from Sunday evening for another 72 hours. The allotment of time is a 72-hour period. The premise behind the curfew is with some of the civil unrest and some of the gatherings that are occurring. A lot of cities throughout Palm Beach County, in the abundance of caution, did want to put a curfew in place to ensure that we don't have situations that you're seeing in other parts of the country. We are certainly encouraging people to peacefully demonstrate, but also to make sure that we protect our community, and law enforcement assets have been deployed to ensure that the community stays safe. We have changed our staffing model to an Alpha Bravo shift. So that is basically the 4 shifts that we have. We've consolidated them into 2. So officers are working 12-hour shifts, and we have at any particular time well over 30 personnel out in the community ensuring the safety is preserved. We haven't had any incident or any issues as it relates to that, but we have been provided some additional information that there is some peaceful demonstrations that are looking to occur, one tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Wells Recreation Center, and another one on Sunday at 3 p.m. in front of City Hall. So that's the information that we've heard with regards to protests that potentially could be happening in our community. We're going to definitely facilitate as much as we can and make sure that the community is safe and the protesters are safe, and we allow for them to peacefully demonstrate and be afforded what is provided to them and all of us in the Constitution. So in closing my remarks, just be conscientious as we roll into these different phases. Again, out of the 64 counties, we are one of the 3 counties that are exempt from moving into phase 2 tomorrow. As phase 2 comes online, movie theaters, a lot of facilities that can accommodate large number of individuals will be up and operational, and we can anticipate as those folks live in this community and go elsewhere or work in other communities that we are going to have situations that we probably will see our numbers continue to increase. So everyone still remain vigilant, still be tuned in to reputable sources for information, and making sure that you remain safe, your family members remain safe, and do not get lulled into a false sense of security thinking that we're out of the woods, because some will want you to believe that, but in all actuality, we're seeing the numbers continue to increase exponentially, and we're concerned that the wave that we're about to see may be more than the numbers prior to us shutting down and flattening the curve as much as we did. So I want to thank everyone again for being on the call, and certainly if there's anything that we can do, any information that you may have that you'd like to share with us concerning any needs that you may have, we're here to assist and support as much as possible. And Marcia, I turn the call back over to you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to be hearing from our Operations Section Chief, Chief Curd.
Good evening, everyone. John Curd, Interim Fire Chief, serving as your Operations Section Chief. I'm going to be going over some statistics and data, as I always do, and I'm also going to be providing some information to the community. So if you have a paper and a pen handy, I will be giving some web addresses and some phone numbers for some different resources available to the community. So I want to start off with the statistics for the state of Florida. As of yesterday, the Florida Department of Health has reported 60,183 total cases since the onset of this pandemic. There are 2,607 deaths that have been reported in the state of Florida. Palm Beach County has 6,688 documented cases with 363 deaths. In Riviera Beach proper, within our municipal boundaries, there are 66 confirmed cases. If we pay attention to what the data says, and we look at the numbers that are available to us, and I'm very comfortable with the data that Palm Beach County provides to the Florida Department of Health. They double check that data that's submitted, making sure that the dashboards are updated correctly. That 66 cases is an uptick of almost 26% or 20% in the last 10 to 12 days. So we've had a 20% increase in the last 10 days versus the last 10, 12 weeks. So I want to caution our community that COVID-19 is on its second wave. Originally, looking at some of the data, it was anticipated that these were just spikes that were occurring. From what I see, there's enough data to actually show that this is the second wave, and the second wave is anticipated to be more aggressive than originally anticipated because of some of the gatherings, demonstrations that are occurring in and around our community. There are testing sites that are available in abundance, and we understand that testing is going to be the key to make sure that we are not spreading COVID-19. We know when to stay home from work, when we should self-isolate, when we should quarantine, and we're going to constantly look to push the message of testing. There is an interactive website, pbcgov.org. Again, that is pbcgov.org. They have a great interactive testing site that will give you all of the testing locations in our area. I put in an address of 600 West Blue Heron, Center City, and did a 5-mile radius search, and it showed me over 9 testing sites within 5 miles of our City Hall complex. There is an abundance of testing that is out there, and there's also antibody testing that is being made available and free to members of our community. 15 Ballpark of the Palm Beaches is conducting antibody testing. However, they are only being able to provide 40 tests per day. You need to schedule the test. The only requirement is that you be over the age of 18 years old. You do not have to be symptomatic, meaning anybody, asymptomatic or symptomatic, is eligible. All you would need is a valid photo ID, and to schedule an appointment for antibody testing at the Fit Team Ballpark, please call 561-642-1000. Again, that number is 561-642-1000. And again, they are only doing 40 tests per day. I've worked very closely with Mr. Evans on looking at some different options to bring antibody testing to our community. We are wanting to ensure that the testing that we bring is FDA approved or at least received an EUA and has been shown to be worthy of our community. There are a lot of false positives, false negatives. There's a lot of questions surrounding antibody testing, and we just want to make sure that the validity of the test that we provide to our community is as close to 100% accurate as possible. So we're going to continue to work on bringing that testing to our community as soon as possible. Some of the latest statistics, and I'm going to go back and talk a little bit more about some of the statistics that I've seen to try to impress upon our community. COVID-19 is not gone. It is not over. It has not gone away. It is not going to go away, and we are going to see a second wave. What we do as a community to try to prevent that second wave from impacting our community is strictly going to be up to the actions of our community and making sure that they stay safe and don't further spread this virus that's already rapidly spreading. There's been an increase in the positivity rates of 2% in the state of Florida that currently sits at 8%. When I mentioned to the community and mentioned to other individuals that our percentage rate has gone up 2 points from 6% to 8%, I hear, Chief, what's the big deal? It's only 2%. But you have to understand, and as I've been explaining to this group since the beginning, data is a very tricky and very easy thing to manipulate. No, 2% of 10 is not a big deal, but 2% of 100,000 now becomes something to be concerned about. So while the number doesn't seem significant, I caution everyone that an uptick in 2% is a number of concern for me, and it should be for our community. We are at 8%. The Florida Department of Health and the CDC says that their goal and their benchmark is 10%. At one point, we were down to almost a 2% positivity rate, and then obviously we had the phase one reopening. When we look at this data, when we look at these statistics, we have to look in retrospect. We have to look back, because we know this virus has that period of 7, 10, 14 days before somebody transmits the virus. They show symptoms, they get tested, they get the results. So we go back 14 days from where we are today, and that put us right at about phase one reopening. These are when our beaches reopen. These are when our restaurants and shops reopen. So we want to caution everybody that what is occurring today, tomorrow, and over the next week won't impact us for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Phase two reopening will begin tomorrow for the state of Florida. While Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach are not part of the phase two reopening, they will soon follow in phase two reopening. So again, I caution you, when you take your family out, when you're in the community, when you're visiting a restaurant, please try to adhere to the social distancing, the masks. We've done a phenomenal job as a city to give masks. We've gone above and beyond. I can assure you, there is no other municipality in Palm Beach County that has distributed more masks than the city of Riviera Beach. We distribute those for a reason. We distribute those so that our community can use them and wear them and not allow this virus to impact our community. And I apologize if I sound passionate, but we've put a lot of hard work and effort into protecting our community, and we just don't want that to fall by the side, because everybody, for some reason, seems to think COVID is old news. I watch the news now, and I very rarely even hear a COVID story. Well, I can tell you I'm living a COVID story with some of our coworkers, and I don't want you to forget how deadly this virus is. We continue to monitor our assisted living facilities. We are doing a great job of taking care of that vulnerable population. There have been 3 confirmed cases in one of our assisted living facilities by the workers, not the residents themselves. Those residents are being tested regularly. Fortunately, the employees are being tested regularly as well. It was identified that they were positive, but they were in their appropriate PPEs. So while they were even in contact, the disease wasn't spread, because they did all of those things that we preached upon our community to do. We know there are going to be some demonstrations in our community. I implore that you utilize masks. They're going to be giving away masks at some of these events if you do not yet have one already. Try to adhere to social distancing to the best of your ability. And I also ask that you continue to hand sanitize and wash your hands regularly, as again, we've been preaching since day one. I will now regress and remind everyone that it is hurricane season. As we understand, hurricane season began on June 1st. Please ensure that we're making the preparations for this upcoming season. Just as a quick note, Tropical Depression Cristobal has formed in the Gulf and is expected to move north through the Gulf and impact Louisiana later this weekend and early into next week. We will see continued poor weather over the next 3 to 5 days. While it is not directly impacting, we're not being directly impacted by the storm, this is an indirect impact. There will be flooding, there will be occasional gusty winds, there will be lightning, and the possibility for a downspout or tornado. So I caution everyone, as you move through the weekend, understand that there is going to be flooding in areas that are prone to flooding in low-lying areas. And I ask, in whatever you do this weekend, please be safe. And with that, I turn it over to you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you, Chief Curd. Next, we're going to hear from our Leisure Services Branch Beach Leader, Ms. Franks.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Noel. Good evening, everyone. I have a very brief update as it relates to our municipal beach operations. Due to the ongoing inclement weather and the start of our hurricane season, Starting June 1st, the beach monitoring team has been scaled back, and throughout the week, on the weekends, we will still have personnel from our Parks Department, our Police Department, and Ocean Rescue team on site. Our monitors will still ensure that the CDC requirements are still being adhered to, such as social distancing and wearing a mask are strongly recommended. As a reminder, our beach operating hours are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Our beach restrooms facilities are available, and they are cleaned and sanitized throughout the day. Before you head out to our beautiful beach, also feel free to check out our city's beach dashboard at www.rivierabeach.org or any of our social media outlets. That concludes my update for beach operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from our Health and Human Services Section Chief, Ms. Grimsley.
Thank you, Ms. Noel. Good evening. This is Valerie Grimsley, Youth Empowerment Director, acting as your Health and Human Services Section Chief. Health and Human Services continue to provide twice weekly food distributions to the community at Wells Recreation on Tuesday and Friday. As of last week, we've been able to complement the grocery boxes given on Fridays with a box of fresh vegetables by way of a partnership between Feeding South Florida and HelloFresh. And through this partnership, we're able to ensure fresh green vegetables go to every home in Riviera Beach. In addition, during Tuesday's distribution, the city has been able to provide prepackaged meals to the senior residents living in Heron Estates and Villa Franciscan. Health and Human Services will begin collaborating with Living Hungry Incorporated on Wednesday, June 10th, to receive prepackaged lunch meals for the youth of Riviera Beach. We'll assist families in feeding our youth through the most critical months of summer. These meals will also supplement food deficiencies that may occur due to no summer camps or significantly reduced structured activities in and around our city due to COVID-19. In an effort to continually keep our citizens safe and healthy, the city manager and the ICS team has scheduled a drive-through mass distribution, which is currently planned for this Sunday, June 7th, Monday, June 8th, and Tuesday, June 9th. Those locations will be Sunday, June 7th from 1 to 2:30 at Cunningham Park, Monday, June 8th at Riviera Beach CRA Ambassador Center. That will be from 10 to 11:30. And on Tuesday, June 9th from 5 to 6:30, it will be at Wells Recreation Center. Health and Human Services has scheduled its first pop-up COVID-19 testing to occur at St. George Homeless Ministry, located on 22nd Street. It will occur this Tuesday, June 9th from 10 to 1. And that's all for Health and Human Services report. Thank you, Ms. Noel.
Thank you. Next, we have our Finance Section Chief, Mr. Sherman.
Good evening, everyone. This is Randy Sherman, Finance Director, serving as the Finance Section Chief. First, let me start off all of the activities that have been described by my coworkers. We are now totaling over 8,000 COVID-19 hours. That adds up to roughly about $1 million when we look at about approximately $250,000 of supplies that we have procured along the way. The business tax receipts are a hot item right now. A number of the loan programs require current business tax receipts. If you need assistance securing your business tax receipt, I'm going to give you a number. It is 845-4019. That is 845-4019. We are running a split staffing as well, but I always ensure at this time that I have 2 individuals in the office to deal exclusively with business tax receipt if you need assistance. And finally, we will be returning to the normal utility billing process approximately around August 1st. So that first full week of August, it starts on August 3rd, we will be resuming disconnections for delinquencies. So that'll give everyone 2 months to get their invoices caught up. I will tell you that our collections are actually ahead of prior years. Individuals are making a concerted effort to keep those bills current, and we certainly appreciate that. If you cannot bring your outstanding balances current by August 1st, please contact us. before we disconnect an account. We will work out payment arrangements that will prevent any disconnections. So please pay attention to your June bills. There will be information on the bills relative to that. And there will also be an insert in the bills relating to a new program that the city is rolling out related to the utility bills that will allow you to see time of day usage, your accounts. You'll be able to log in from your phones and iPads or through the web. So that'll be in the billing insert as well. Ms. Noel, that ends my report.
Thank you. Last but not least, we'll be hearing from our planning section chief, Mr. Bailey.
Yes, this is Terrence Bailey, your Public Works Director, acting as the Planning Section Chief. With the Phase 1 soft reopening of City Hall and normal operations beginning to spin up in all of the other departments, Public Works and the Planning Section is looking at social distancing, screening, measures to protect the interaction of the public and staff, as well as online support operations to continue continuity of service for the city while also maximizing the protection and lowering spread of COVID between the public, staff, and any others. In Public Works, we have also gone to an augmented staffing model where 2 of our 3 crews are on at any one time and 1 in the standby position. Public Works is currently looking out at this weekend's storm and preparing the necessary resources so that streets maintain their passability and any flooding that may occur is addressed immediately. If in the event that anyone from the public sees large pools of standing water, please call the city's line at 845-4000 to notify us of these situations so we can deploy staff expeditiously so that the roads and everyone can continue to get on their way following the storm. And that is your planning report.
Thank you. Now we will allow for a question and answers from anyone in the community that has joined our call. Simply dial *9 so that I can unmute your line. I did receive a question online from Facebook, and I'll go ahead and read that question. It says, when is the Parks and Recreation going to open? I believe they're referring to Peanut Island. From what I understand, that is a county operation, but if anyone in our staff can respond to that, perhaps provide some insight. And then in addition, if anyone can speak on the city's Parks and Recs operations.
Marsha, this is Jonathan. With regards to the activities on Peanut Island, that is, for the most part, a county park. And so when the county looks to restore operations over there, I would assume that that would be something that would probably happen in Phase 2 or Phase 3. It all depends. The concern that the county has is that Peanut Island is just a natural hub for people to congregate. And obviously with this pandemic, that's the last thing that we want to encourage. That's why even the docking on a sandbar is prohibited during this time. So as far as a timeline, we're not 100% sure, but I think in subsequent phases, we'll be able to get more information about that. With respect to the City of Riviera Beach's Parks and Recreation operations, we're monitoring that day by day, but until we can safely be able to return folks back to work and ensure that we can sanitize facilities appropriately, we will continue to keep the operations closed. We are looking at some models that other entities are putting forward, but still in the abundance of caution, and especially in light of the positive cases increase, we're going to continue to remain in the current status we are, which is our operations are closed.
Thank you. If there's any further questions, just dial *9. Seeing that there's no further questions, I will provide a few announcements for everyone's awareness. This coming weekend, the city will be conducting mask distribution. We have 3 dates. The first is Sunday, June 7, from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Cunningham Park. The next is Monday, June 8, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Riviera Beach CRA Ambassador Center. And then the third and last distribution is going to be for Tuesday, June 9th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Wells Recreation Center. This information is also on the city's website and social media. So if you have not yet gotten your mask, you can come to these locations to receive them. We are taking both drive up and walk up. And we will be providing 5 masks per car. In addition, masks will not be mailed in this instance. And then lastly, we do want to remind the community about the census. The census is a continual effort. And so we encourage members of the community to please, please, please not only fill out the census, but to also encourage your neighbors and your friends here in the city about the importance of this initiative, and to make sure that we get as many people aware and participating in this, as it's important for our city. With that being said, if there are no further remarks, our call is adjourned. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.